Welcome to Dr. Asemota Academic Research Empowerment Forum. Today, we are discussing how to develop a compelling statement of research problem. And I have with me Dr. Godwin Asemota, who will be contributing to the discussion. Let's move on. Developing a compelling statement of research problem. A well-defined research problem is the foundation of impactful research. It guides your study, helps secure funding, and provides a clear roadmap. Let's explore how to craft such a statement. You see, the research process starts by formulating a research problem that can be investigated through research process. The first step in selecting a research problem is to identify the broad area that one is interested in. What is the real problem? For example, you have to give us, we have to uh, lead you into this with some background information on the issue of problem writing the statement of research problem. Okay, for example, if the research problem you are looking at is in the area of performance, employee performance or employee commitment or productivity, or you are looking at design, you are looking at implementation or prototyping, that is a general area. That's a general problem area. Okay, such an area should be related to the professional interests and goals of the researcher. Okay, the research problem should be an important one. That is, it should lead to findings that have widespread implications in a particular area. It should have challenge, it should be able to challenge some commonly held truism. That is it true or not true? That research problem should reveal the inadequacies of the existing laws, views, or policies in that area of your endeavor, the research you are looking at, okay? Because I'm trying to build up the case here before we go into the statement of research problem, how to formulate it, what we need to do, what are the characteristics of a research problem, and so on and so forth. And the research problem should cover a reasonable scope. It should not be too wide or too narrow or too general, because you are the investigator, you are exploring, you are undertaking a research in order to find solutions to that research. Okay, so the problems you are looking at, it will be a general problem, but you must narrow it down so that it is visible and it can be researched upon. Okay, so a research, maybe we can ask ourselves, let's proceed the second slide. What is the purpose and in which context we are looking at? Okay, basically, statement of your research or your research problem statement is the core of your research, because without the problem, then what are you going to write up on? What are you going to write about? So a research problem refers to some difficulty which the researcher experiences in the context of either a theoretical or a practical situation and wants to obtain a solution for the same. Okay, and a research problem exists if the following conditions are met. There must be an individual or a group of people which have some difficulty, or the problem they are looking at, that is, some people are undergoing some difficulties or problems. They have been involved in the problems, and it may be in the organization, it may be in the community. You may be talking about women problems, women, teenagers, adolescent girls, boys, students, business entrepreneurs. You have problems that cut across all the sphere of life in the world. So how do we start with this statement of the problem? How do you begin? How do you start? What is the source? How do you engage yourself in ensuring that you are on the right path in this issue of statement of the problem. You must first of all clearly identify the gaps. I said gaps because there are a lot of gaps in the literature you are looking at on the particular topic you are working on. Clearly identify the gap or gaps that your research aims to fill. What problem has not been explored enough? You see, when you look at literature, you see people recommend further studies, open questions, open studies. These are the areas you can look at when you are looking at that area of the problem you intend to solve in your research, whether master's or at your PhD level. Okay, you look at the literature, the gaps in literature that you have been studying, you have read, you have reviewed over some months. In the literature gaps that you have read or you have reviewed, you see those issues, the inadequacies, the short falls in terms of performance, productivity, commitment, and so on and so forth, okay, depending on the area of your research. So you look at that in that literature gap, and then you explain the problem's significance. Why is it important to address? Who are the people affected? Where are they located? Which organization are they working in? And how will you solve the problem? What will be the benefits to all the stakeholders? And that takes us back to the issue of the 5 W's and H. It is important that we master the skill of using the 5 W's and H techniques. Recently, we have just uploaded that, so you can go to Dr. Asemota Academic Research Empowerment Forum on YouTube, and then you can find the video that has been uploaded for your use, and it will help you. You can look at that. At every stage in your research, you should be able to employ the use of the 5 W's and H to provoke your thoughts and your thinking, to think outside the box, to be able to brainstorm on those areas of need. Okay? I need to call on Dr. Godwin Asemota to contribute at this juncture. Thank you.
Actually, thank you very much, Doctor. The purpose is talking about the objective, which is specific to that problem, and the gaps are peculiar to that problem. If there are no gaps, there are no problems. If the area you are researching in is overbeaten, is overworn, or it is worn, everybody is there, everybody is putting their heads there, you may scarcely have a good problem because most areas have been researched, and for you to be able to see areas that are gaping for you to go into would be very difficult, and being able to get a contribution is almost impossible. So that's why, to get a good statement of the problem, you look at areas that are new, that look very difficult, and in most cases those so difficult areas are the areas you can really have an impact, because it is new, because it is difficult, people run away, and any small thing you will do gives you recognition, gives you more impact, gives you more vista to see better things. So, and explain that significance become easier, and it makes you an expert and makes you to be somebody to be reckoned with in the area. So it is very good to look for more difficult areas, more challenging areas that will help you and make things easier for you, because the more difficult it is, the more people run away. Then you now have a fewer people to contend with, and what you contribute becomes significant, and you now bear the halos worth repeating. Thank you, Doctor.
Let's proceed.
Yes.
I hope you are still with us. The next slide, here we look at the core elements. What are those core elements or issues on this issue of statement of the problem we are looking at? The topic of our discussion is developing a compelling statement of research problem. Compelling. It must be compelling enough to your readers, to the stakeholders that will be involved in your research, and the students, the researchers in the future that will go through your thesis or your journals that you are going to publish out of this. Okay, so it's very important that you determine you look at what criteria should you consider to make a good problem statement. You know, it should be written clearly and in such a way that the reader's interest is captured immediately. Okay, it's not something you just write like a story. No, you write concisely, precisely, keep it sweet and simple. I want you to adopt that model of adopting the KISS principle. Okay, you keep it sweet and simple. It's very important. You should be the statement of your problem should be written in such a way that it is clear, it is precise, it is not ambiguous, it is straightforward, that people, when they read it, they understand and they could see that, okay, this is what the researcher is talking about. Okay, so you describe the ideal outcome, what you want to achieve in the process. What situation do you aim to achieve through your research? Okay, because by the time people read through your statement of the problem, they will see the problem, they will see what type of the categories of people that have been affected, backed up with data and evidence-based statistical data and report. It's not just vague. It's not just any story anywhere. So when they see what you have written and they read and they understand, it helps them to have interest in what you are doing. The problematic situation detailing the current problem. What challenges create the problem? What are the causes of the problem? Who are the people affected by the problem? Why are they affected? What has been there before? That is why we need evidence-based empirical evidences to support what we are driving at. Because when you write problems, and without statistical data backing it up, then it means you are just writing just a story. That's not what we want. When we talk about empirical study, it must be practical. It must be a field study conducted, collected questionnaires. People fill your question, the respondents, the participants, your subjects, your audience. If it is quantitative or qualitative survey, you should be able to, they should be able to see and quantify what you are saying. Then you want to highlight the negative impact. If the problems are not solved, what will be the consequences of not solving the problem? Because in problem solving, you should identify, if we solve the problem, these are the benefits. If we refuse to solve the problem, these are the consequences. These are the things that you are going to build up into the statement of the problem. Okay. The specific problem identified in the problem statement should be objectively researchable, not blaming others. We are not talking about who is at fault in the statement of the problem, but we are talking about these are the problems, these are the people affected, and you trace the origin of the problems to some extent. You see, you trace it, you then narrow it down to the organization you want to undertake the research with, and the people, the subjects, the participants, the respondents, and the location that you want to talk about, and the real problem. Okay, the importance of the study in adding new knowledge should be stated clearly. What new knowledge will this study bring to the body of knowledge? The problem statement must give the purpose of the research. Okay, not just what has been done before. What has been done before, yes, because you have to start from somewhere. You are not, your own is not original, so to say, fully. But in the process of conducting the research, originality of your own vision, of your own the way you look at the problem and the way you are going to solve the problem brings ingenuity into the research, into the study. It brings originality. That's what we then in the course of the study, it now brings contribution to knowledge. Okay, Maybe Dr. Godwin would like to add.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Actually, what you have just said are the key points. They are very important. That is not complaining, is not grumbling, is not murmuring. You must state the problems as they are. Who is affected? Why are they affected? Whom will it affect more if nothing is done to solve this problem? That's why I say it's compelling. It's not just what can be, it's not optional. See, that's when we say compelling, it means if you don't do it, the damage it will cause will be more. So it must be that if it's not so important, if it's not at the prime, is not number one. If this is not done, say these are repercussions. It will affect this, it will affect that. Then when you are stating it should be clearly documented in such a way that there's statistics to back up your claim. It's not bogus information. It is this has been done so and so place, so and so place. These are the people affected. Then if this is not done, these are the people it will affect. Like now you talk about a teenage pregnancy. Why is it teenage pregnancy? Who are the perpetrators of teenage pregnancy? Who are involved? Who will be affected? Whose future will it affect? Will it affect the community? Will it affect the nation? Will it affect who? What future is it going to damage? What are you going to have slums of invalids and incapable people? So these are the things. So when you now look at the repercussion, then it now brings out a compelling reason why you must do this research. If it's not done, these are the problems. If it is done, then these are the solutions. When you now have this, it will alleviate the problem, mitigate the impact, then you now have a livelier and a better, instead of having hoodlums, you are now having people who have been transformed, who have been reformed, who are now contributors to the community. So these are the things you are talking about. So you are able to bring out the cause, the effect, the benefits, and the effect you have if this is not done and there's negligence on any part. So that is why it's compelling. It must come out clearly that people will see it as a problem. Where is it happening? Whom is it happening to? Where is it happening? When is it occurring? So these are the things you now bring out that brings something to the table that you now have people will say, let us partner, let us be involved, so that it will be sweet and attractive to people who read it and why it is needed. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. Let's proceed. Now we are looking at the scope and boundaries of your statement of your research problem. The scope is important, the boundaries are also important. Like we have said, we don't just write any statement of problem anyhow, too broad, too vague, too narrow. No, it must be compelling enough to your readers and to whoever are the stakeholders that will be making use of the outcome of your research. Okay, so when we talk about the specificity of what we are looking at, is talking about avoiding vague statements, using precise language to define your research tools. Okay, for example, you are looking at pregnancy among teenage girls. You have not said, it's not compelling enough. Somebody can just write a statement and write a story, but you want to look at the effect or the influence or the impact of teenage pregnancy on the literacy level of girls or boys, boys who are girls and boys, because the perpetrators are boys, not girls like them. So you have to be specific enough so that you know that your statement of the problem is precise, is clear, and is straightforward, that everybody knows that this is the topic you are talking about, and this is the problem you are looking at. Okay, you focus on the topic. Who are the people affected? The location, the time period. You narrow down your scope, because if it is too wide, then it may not be researchable, it may not be feasible enough to conduct research on, and ensure that the problem can be investigated within your resources and your time frame. Okay, maybe Dr. Godwin would like to come in here.
Thank you very much. Issue of focus is paramount. If you are not focused, you cannot achieve anything. That means you are distracted. So if you are distracted, then you will lose course, you will have accident, and you will be damaged. So when you are focused, then the resources you have will now be able to be tailored to achieve the research objectives. Then you will need time frame. What time do you have? What are the constraints? These things are what will help you to know what to do, how to navigate the problems, and who to contact, and what barriers are there that need to be removed to make the work to be done, and who are to be impacted by it. Who are the people to be involved? What is their level of competence or understanding? Or how are you able to convince them to be able to buy into? Who are going to be the subject, or the people who will get or obtain the data? From whom and how will they obtain this data? Is it through snowball or direct? What kind of things are these? So these are the things that you now look at. Then, with proper focus, proper thinking, brainstorming, and seeing how to streamline things, you are able to get it done and have a target achieved without much difficulty. Thank you, Dr. Oluke.
Yeah. The scope is very important, because, for example, you want to conduct a research on employee performance. Where? Which organization? Which country? Okay, so the scope of the specific research problem should be indicated. The particular state within the country, how many states you want to uh, use for your the population is they are employees. Okay, but the 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 sample they are going to determine in order to use must represent the type of the employees you are looking at. Okay, so you must state them. It must be specific. You are using maybe both. For example, if you are conducting uh, a research on maybe with the higher educational institutions, are you looking at both private or public institutions? I'm talking about the public universities. Or you are only limiting yourself to public. You justify why public, and you justify why you are using private, or both. Anything you are doing, you must give reasons and back all your points with data justifying the reasons why you engage in such. Then the importance of the study in adding new knowledge should be stated as well, clearly. The problem statement must give the purpose of the research. Okay, the specific problem should identify the problem statement objectively without bias. It must be objective, not subjective. Okay, so let's move on. Structuring your statement of research problem. It must have a general introduction. You must briefly introduce in the broader area of your research. You introduce your audience into it. Okay, this study is investigating or exploring the effect of um, organizational rewards on employee commitment in public organizations in Namibia, in East African region or SADC region, depending on it depends on what you need to do. Okay. Then specific problem. Then after the introduction, which is the general one, introducing your readers into that your statement of the problem section in your research, which is the chapter 1 of your research. You now narrowing down to what are you looking at? What are the problems? Why are they problems? Who are the people affected by the problem you are looking at? So you are now focusing gradually on the problem that is specific to that organization, that nation, and that place. Then you cite relevant research work that has been done, statistics that have been done in that area, because you have to back it up with empirical evidences that people have worked in before in that area. Research questions, then you can state the research question your research aims to answer, and the research questions dictates the hypothesis at the same time. You see, you have your objectives. We are going to look at research objectives later, but not in this presentation. Okay, so when you structure it, you must structure it in an orderly manner so that it will be it will command the understanding of your readers, and also it's like a pyramid turned upside down. The broad, and it narrows down to the specific, that's the specific country, organization, problem, people that are affected, and that guides your objectives, guides your research question, guides your research hypothesis. Then the language matters, and the tone. The language and the tone matter in making sure that your readers and your stakeholders, people that are going to use the research, the report, the outcome of the research, is compelling to them. So it must carry some level of clarity and persuasiveness. You use precise, unambiguous language, avoid jargons. In research, you don't tell stories. It must be backed up with data. Precisely, people read it, they understand it, and they know. They okay, this is what and they can make use of your suggestions and recommendations at the end of the day. That okay, this is what we let us do, and they can even invite you to come and experiment with the organization and disseminate what you have achieved, and then they will invite you. Then you can be an internal consultant with them to be able to solve the problem. That's why the problem you are embarking on in your research is an area that you can be a professional in that area. Okay, it's an area you can grow up to work on and become an expert. That's the essence of conducting a PhD research, going for a PhD study, and also even masters. You now extend it to PhD level, and then you now you become a master in that profession. And also you maintain an objective and professional tone. Avoid overly subjective or emotional language. We are not talking about sentiment. It's not about biased statement here and there. No. Scientists are not biased people. They are objective to the core. They deal with figures, they deal with numbers, and interpret the numbers. What is it saying? What are these numbers saying? What does it mean? That's why when you collect data and you do it well, you follow procedures, you follow research protocols, you will achieve. And whatever you achieve, whatever the outcome of your results, don't manipulate results, don't manipulate data. You are not looking, because you don't know what the output of the information of the data. It is after the analysis, whatever comes out, then you will interpret and then justify. If it's deviating from the norms before, then it's a new area that people need to look at, and that's a contribution to knowledge. It does not need to align with previous authors and researchers. That is why we call it research. You relook, you re-examine, you reassess, you reevaluate, going back again and again. That's why we have people conducting different types of research on one entity of issues, one entity of problematic areas in the organization, in the community, and we are still looking at, for example, look at leadership. Leadership is an area that cannot be overused or overdone, because there are new areas on leadership that people are now looking at. So that's what we are looking at, okay? That's what we are talking about. So make sure that whatever you are doing it well. You follow procedure, you follow the ethics of conducting research properly. You don't just fabricate and import data that you are not supposed to. You go to the field and conduct your gather your data, design your questionnaires. You can do pilot study first to validate and make sure that it's reliable, and it can now be reproducible after that, okay? So emphasize the potential benefits of addressing the problem. We have said it before, we have mentioned it earlier. If the problems are solved, these are the benefits. If not solved, this will be the consequence. I don't know if Dr. Godwin would like to add
Thank you
a
very
few
much,
things.
Dr. Lukem. Actually, the use of precise language is at the core of stating the problem of that research. If the language is not clear, if the language means more than one thing, then it is ambiguous. And if it's ambiguous, nobody can tell what you mean, what you are saying, what you are not saying. So that's why precise language is important. And when you are writing, the register must be high, it must be clear, it must be without bias, it must be something technical and accurate, that anybody seeing it will know this is what you are saying. And in this context, this is what you mean. Then the audience you are addressing must understand what you are saying. They must understand the language, and they must understand the premise upon which you are operating. So these are important things. It must be clear, it must be sweet. When people see it, they are happy. The construct must be correct. The validity must be clear. It must be consistent. It must be valuable. Then people will see that, yes, it will solve the problem of the organization. Then people are prepared to fund it because it will solve their problem. These are nagging issues that it will help them. You don't buy what you don't need. You buy what is useful to you, and you pay less than the value of what you are getting. If the value you are going to get from that research is less than what you're going to invest in it, it is useless. So anybody buying something gets more value than the money he or she is paying. So it must be good enough, it must command respect, and like what you said, don't fabricate results. Don't let it be like what others have done before. That means you don't know, you just copy it. So even if there's a mistake, mistakes are where you have discoveries. It deviating from the norm is when you now go and scrutinize. Why is it deviating? People have said this. Why is this like this? When you now look deeper, you will now say why it is so. That's why you have discoveries. You don't say, I'm going to discover. Discovery comes what you feel is mistake. When you now scrutinize and look further, view further, research further, then you now see this is new. This is what you now talk about. That's why the outcomes now become the contribution. Thank you very much, Dr. Oluken.
Thank you so much. Let's proceed. Examples of effective problem statements. We may not be able to give you so many examples, but with the little discussion we have heard, you who is the researcher, who wants to investigate that area of research and the problem you have at heart, you should be able to, with the little we have discussed and doing your research, reviewing literature. You see, you have to understand the nature of the problem, the origin, the nature of the problem by discussing it with those who raised it in order to find out the problem originally came from. Okay, you have to discuss with experts, with brainstorm with people in the field. You have to do background information, search about the organization. Okay, you have to be able to you have to study and review literature related to that work. Literature review is not something you have to review more than 50 journal articles, not 10. 10 is nothing. At master's level, at PhD, that is why people are so dry in writing research in their literature, and also even in the problem statement. Because you will have read wide. You have gone, on Google search to download reputable peer-reviewed journals, okay, relating to your work, okay. So examples are many, but you must focus on your own. Consider, for example, the increasing rate of childhood obesity in the UK. That is the reality, what we are talking about, and it's leading to long-term complications in health, okay. How do you state this problem? This is just a statement. It's not the topic, but it's a problem. So you have now, when you have read the literature and you have seen the gaps there listed, then you come out your own topic from the problem. So, when you have searched through and you have been able to see what you intend to do, it is then that the topic will emerge. But the problem, first of all, you start with the problem, understanding the problem, then the research topic will give way to the fore, okay? And also, there are so many things you can look at, but it depends on, that's what we are talking about, the scope, the boundaries, and the time frame, the resources. All this must be considered, because if not, then you will start a research that you cannot finish, and that's not, it's not that, because maybe your work, your study should take you between 3-4 years or thereabout, and if you are there for the past 6 years, 7 years, nothing is progressing, then something is wrong with either your problem statement, your topic, even. And if the problem is not well crafted, everything around it will be wrong. Okay, so over to you, Dr. Godwin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Luke. Actually, the issue here is very important. Statement of the problem is at the core of any research. Until it is well done, progressing becomes difficult. It's after you are able to do this that methodology comes into place, writing comes into place, synthesizing the research becomes clearer. Then the issue of what you wrote before as your topic begins to change. And these are the things that helps you, because when you're now say, okay, even you talk to people who are not even in your field, who are not in that area at all, you sound it on them. Ask them, what does this thing mean? If they're able to explain to you what it means, then it means that research problem is good enough. Because if it's only people in your field that understand what you're talking about, you don't have a good problem statement. It's not compelling, because some people who are not in your field will review your work. So they should understand. Look at it, for example. If you are bidding for funding and you don't have a good, compelling research problem statement, then the accountant asks you, what is the financial benefit of this research to the organization? You now be saying, that is not. There's no way it's going to pass. It's already cancelled. You must be able to tell the accountant that if this research is done, because these are the people it affecting, This is the cost it is having as at today. When this research is conducted, this cost will now become a profit. This is how much profit they will derive. Then the accountant will be happy that yes, you are solving a problem, because he's going to account for the money given to you. Then you must show that this work will bring out this benefit. Then that's what we talk about, cost benefit analysis. It is important. If it's at a loss, who will buy into it? So you must be able to have a profit. It's not company, it must be in financial terms, but it must be profitable, it must be useful, it must solve a problem, and the impact should be visible and clear to all and sundry. Thank you, Dr. Luke.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin, for that wonderful contribution. Let's proceed. Refining your statement. How do you review and refine your problem statement? It's very important. Once you have put together all this that you have gathered, introducing the problem statement, backing it up with citations and people that are involved, and the consequences of not solving the problems and the benefits, those that will be affected, all the stakeholders. Then you have to present it somewhere. That's why we have this concept paper. In some universities, you have the concept paper proposals for your research to be disseminated at the school level, faculty level, okay, departmental level, school or faculty, depending on how you coin your own in your university. So once you present, people tend to, the team, the committee members will be able to, the panelists will be able to look at it and then give you feedback on fine-tuning what you have read, this and that. And when you appear in your concept seminar series, or I don't know how you coin it, it may be seminar 1 or seminar 2, starting with concept note, proposal, and what have you. So it will help you to seek feedback from experts, panel of judges, people that have been in the profession, and your supervisors too will be your supervisors. At least you have 2 supervisors. Some do have 3 supervisors. They'll be there to refine your statement. Even before then, your supervisor will have encouraged and will have guided you on how to put things together. And you too, it is your work. It's not your supervisor's work. It's just to guide you. You take ownership of your work because it is you and the research. You ensure that the problem statement align with your research objectives. Anything you are doing and the research objectives are not in line with the topic, with the problem statement, with the hypothesis, research questions, conceptual framework, everything must be aligning and talking about your research objectives, research questions, research the conceptual framework. With even when you draw the conceptual framework, is still showing the relationship between your independent variables with the dependent variables, and then if you have the moderating, that is moderating the effect of both on each other. Okay, so the alignment must be solid, because if not, then you are doing other things, not the research, okay, that you have planned to do. So revise and ensure that it is done well. It's very important. That's why don't see your panelists as your enemies. You should see the environment or the opportunity as an opportunity to present your case and for them to help you to fine-tune what you have presented. And you see it as a congenial atmosphere, a friendly atmosphere. It's not a combative atmosphere, not at all. Relax, prepare adequately at whatever stage you are going to present your work, whether at concept phase, concept paper phase, research proposal phase, whatever phase, then you proceed. Just make sure that you have the positive attitude that this member of this seminar team that have been allocated, they are there to help you. You be positive, prepare adequately, and then you proceed with them. Okay. Practicality is key. Dr. Godwin, comment on this.
Actually, what you just said, any question can be asked. It may be outside what you think is about the topic. It depends on the person asking you questions. Want to understand. Have you considered this aspect of your work? It may seem outside what you are looking at, but when you look at it from the angle that person is asking the question, it helps you to see other areas you didn't consider before. It will help you to check, and that's why issue of that 5Ws and H come in to help you at every stage in the development of your research. So it's very important that whatever question is asked is to help you and see it in that light, and you will make good success of your research work. Thank you, Dr. Luken. Yeah, the practicality of the research problem statement. Why is it important? Practicality means, is it implementable? Is it going to be actualized? How feasible is it? Is it viable? Is it what you want to do? Is it important? Is it vital? It should form the basis of all your research work. How practicable is it in the work and in the solution? All of them, practicality is important, because if it's not practicable, it is not useful. So practicality is at the core of this problem you want to solve. It must be visible. It must be clear to all that you are solving a problem. It can be exercised, it can be implemented at whatever phase, whether it can be expanded or reduced depending on, so at what stage. So when it's practical, you say, okay, now how do I do this? If I have this amount, I can do this. If I have this amount, I can do. So you can now talk about issue of scaling. Each of these has to be practically done. So you must be able to identify what you are doing. You must be able to know at what point what you have identified, are they germane to the problem? Are they pillars? Are they broken tooth? These are things you must get. So you must be able to identify each and every one of them and put them in perspective. When these are done, then the planning comes in. Once you are able to plan, then how you plan will determine what you are going to solve. If it is solved, what is the result? Is it one result or many results? If it's a question, you have an answer. But these are problems. Problems have different answers, different results, and each of them must be seen and interpreted. And what does it do? That is why when we solve problems in science or in engineering, you solve problems, you have solutions. Then when you now solve those problems, you have not finished. You have only solved a problem. Where do you apply the different solutions that have been proffered? That is the real issue. That is the practicality of what we are talking about. Application is important. If you solve mathematics like a pure mathematician, you have only solved is one part of the problem. As as a researcher, as an implementer, those solutions are just a part. Then you now look at those solutions as solving the problem at different levels. Each one has a boundary it can operate. Solution A can only operate in boundary A. Then boundary B has another solution. C compartment has, so you now have, then when you now have the boundary between A and B, then the solution you have at B, the one you have at A should be the same. What now happens that it is not the solution you have in A you can use in C, because what you have for A can only operate within A. What you have for B can only operate within B. What you have for C, so that's why when you have solution to problems, there is not one size fits all. They are useful at different points and different stages. That's the practicality of it. Thank you, Dr. Luken. Anything to add?
Yeah, but what we are looking at is the practicality here is how feasible is the research. Once you are able to think through successfully and clearly your statement of research problem, then it should be doable. It should be something that you now work on to conduct the research, follow the research processes, and then once you have gathered your data, then you proceed, you interpret, you analyze, the findings, then you can now recommend and conclude. These are the things I've found out here. It's applicable to this, it's generalizable to other organizations alike. So that is the practical, the ability to engage in it and to walk through it and to be able to solve the problems you have envisaged at the initial stage. Then looking at the objectives you have set, were you able to achieve the objective at the end of the day? So that is the practicality that is we are talking about. So next steps still are clarify, focus, and action, which we have said. The action is the applicability, the practicability of what you have been saying from the beginning in terms of the statement of the problem. You coin your topic, then you start writing the introduction, the research objectives, the research questions, the research hypothesis, and also you look at the scope, the boundaries, the time frame, which location are you going to conduct the study, what is your population, and who are the target respondents or participants, and with that, it will help you to refine your problem statement, seek feedback, ensure practicality in every stage. In closing, we encourage you to continue to join us, watch my videos on academic research on YouTube, comment, like, and you will have a lot to gain. Thank you. That's my contact. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Luken, for the topic, which is compelling research problems, statements, their clarity, their focus, their target, and the benefits of doing a compelling research problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We still have a lot to share with you. Just check on our links there on YouTube and you get a lot. Bye for now.